Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We'll start there with Jameis Winston's injury and what it means for the Saints' playoff chances. Interestingly enough, not much. In a sport where so much is dictated by who you have pulling the trigger under center, odds makers have basically looked at this New Orleans Saints team and went, meh. As a matter of fact, there are some sports books that have actually improved the Saints' Super Bowl odds post Jameis Winston's injury. Now, to be very clear, that's not to say they're better without Jameis Winston. It's just that the way the Saints were winning was with a game-managing quarterback, heavily relying on a great defense. And oh, by the way, you beat the best team in the NFC without Jameis Winston, put you at 5-2. And when you look at the remaining schedule, there's a lot of reason to believe that you've got some rope and are going to manage to get into the playoffs. And I'll remind you, you can't win the Super Bowl if you don't get in the playoffs first. So, obviously, teams that make the playoffs are going to have a better chance to win the Super Bowl. For whatever it's worth, according to one online sports book, the Saints Super Bowl odds went from plus 4,000 last week, again, long odds, to plus 3,500, meaning a $100 bet would win $3,500. That's after the Saints beat the Bucs, after Jameis's injury. The really interesting thing as well, by the way, the odds of winning the NFC South, Bucs are minus 429, so a heavy favorite. The Saints NFC South odds, according to Topeka Sportsbook, plus 280. So the Saints' odds of winning the South shortened. Naturally, you beat Tampa. You have the same number of losses as them, and you have a head-to-head win. That does make sense that you would improve your odds. It's also worth noting, though, when you look at what the Saints have remaining on their schedule, if you try to map out a path into the playoffs, there's one there. And the remaining strength of schedule for New Orleans is 13th. Now, that's according to opponents' win-loss record. So the Saints are right there in the middle of the pack. The disappointing part is that Tampa's remaining strength of schedule is 28th. Tampa has one of the easiest remaining schedules in all of the NFL. So it's unlikely the Saints are going to overtake Tampa, which is why they're such a heavy favorite to win the division. But when you look at what remains for New Orleans, this week you've got Atlanta, where the Saints are a 6-point favorite, and that's followed up with back-to-back road games against Tennessee and Philadelphia, a home game against Buffalo, home game against Dallas on back-to-back Thursdays. That's Thanksgiving against Buffalo, the next Thursday against Dallas. Then back-to-back road games at the Jets, at Tampa, and then you finish home against Miami, home against Carolina, and then at the Falcons in Week 18, as odd as that seems. So when you roll through it, and the Saints are a 6-point favorite this weekend against Atlanta, and they're going to get some help, which we'll talk about in just a second, with Tennessee. And then you're at Philly, which has been a little Jekyll and Hyde this year. Tough games at home against Buffalo and Dallas, but you figure Atlanta, Tennessee, Philly are all winnable. At the Jets is winnable. Home against Miami is winnable. Carolina and Atlanta are winnable. I mean, 7 of your 10, you're probably favored the rest of the way. So if you go 5-5 in your remaining 10, you're a 10-win football team, and you're likely in the playoffs. That's why you're looking at the Saints right now and going, yeah, that's why their odds are going to improve. Even regardless of who their quarterback is, if they were able to piece it together so far with a game manager at quarterback, would say you couldn't do that continuing to move forward. And the Saints did get a bit of a break, pun somewhat intended there. You probably know that, you've heard that Derrick Henry has a broken foot, and he's going to be out for the remainder of the season. Well, the next 2 games the Saints have are home against Atlanta, then at Tennessee. Each of the next 2 weeks, the Saints' opponents are going to be without arguably their best offensive player. Remember, the Saints play Atlanta on Sunday, and Calvin Ridley has taken a leave from football for his mental well-being. I'm not here to comment about anybody's mental health, mental well-being. I think we should take that seriously. There's too much of a stigma on it. But that's massively significant because after Calvin Ridley, the next top 2 receivers for the Falcons are tight ends. And the next 2 after that are running backs. Remember, they traded Julio Jones this offseason to Tennessee, and now Calvin Ridley's out. So an Atlanta offense that is only averaging 247 pass yards a game, you remove Calvin Ridley, and I really like the Saints against that Atlanta offense. By the way, Atlanta just lost to Carolina at home. And then a week later, you're going to take on a Tennessee Titans team without Derrick Henry, the NFL's back-to-back rushing champ leader, who, interestingly enough, has never played against the Saints. The only teams that Derrick Henry has never played against are the Tennessee Titans, his team, and the New Orleans Saints. They played back in 2019, if you remember. Henry had the hamstring injury, didn't play against New Orleans. That game up in Tennessee. This game, again, also in Tennessee. So if Henry does check the box against New Orleans, it won't be until 2023 when Tennessee will play in New Orleans. But anyway, point being, Saints are at 5-2. They're favored this week against Atlanta, no Calvin Ridley. Then they go to Tennessee, which is obviously a very good football team, but they're without the best running back in the NFL. Or as Ryan Clark said, the best runner of the football in the NFL. Not great make you miss, but if he gets running, he's obviously tough to take down. So, man, you really like where New Orleans is with the way the schedule shapes up at 5-2. They can certainly win this week. They can beat Tennessee without Derrick Henry. Tough to go on the road and win in the NFL, and that Philly game is late November. It is going to be difficult, I think, to beat Buffalo in New Orleans, regardless. But that's that Thanksgiving Day game against Buffalo, maybe the best team in the NFL. It's going to be on Thanksgiving night. And then a week later against Dallas, we will be in New Orleans for that game, by the way. We'll be doing AFR from Sazerac House on December the 2nd. So make plans to join us in New Orleans at the Sazerac House for game day against the Cowboys. So I look at it and I say, I understand what Sean Payton is thinking right now. He has said they're not going to look outside for quarterback help. Trade deadline is come and gone. They're not trading for a quarterback. Could that change? Maybe. We've talked about Cam Newton being out there as a free agent. There's been some conversation about Phillip Rivers, who has not completely closed the door to a potential return for the right situation. But we saw this a year ago when Drew Brees got hurt. Taysom Hill started over Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston as a backup, certainly more accomplished than Trevor Siemian as a backup. So if Taysom Hill is healthy, my assumption is he's going to be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. And only if he struggles would he be replaced by Trevor Siemian. My personal feeling is I'd rather see Trevor Siemian so you could have Taysom Hill as a more valuable weapon in that offense to benefit a guy like Trevor Siemian, who's a game manager. We've all talked about Taysom and his inability to stretch the field with his deep balls, etc. But what I want, what you want is probably irrelevant because we know what Sean Payton is going to do because we have evidence of what he did a year ago in the exact same situation, losing his starting quarterback. And I think that's what he's going to do again. If Taysom Hill is in fact healthy, I think he'll start this weekend against Atlanta. But we'll get a better sense of that on Wednesday when the first injury report is out. We have a much better idea if Taysom Hill is going to be able to go this week against Atlanta in the Dome. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.